And it is just an honor and a pleasure to be here tonight to this event that's honoring Juan Felipe Herrera, the 21st U.S. Poet Laureate. And the exhibition that you see here tonight basically is a snapshot of all of the snapshots that he took. So I really invite you to sit with the photographs, because not only are they a photograph of an event, they all have these little short story proses.
Secondly, I'd like to thank the provost, who has been the driving force behind all of this. She is the driving force behind CCA. She is the driving force behind Juan Felipe. And also, she, through her and through her efforts, she made possible the trip to DC. Our students got to participate in the closing ceremonies of Juan Felipe Herrera, and that was an incredible opportunity for both our region, our students, and our university. So thank you, Provost Celeste, for all that you do. Juan Felipe Herrera has, in my view, two powerful strains throughout his poetry. He has the earthy strain that talks to us about the earth, about our mothers and our fathers, about our sisters and our brothers, about our uncles and our cousins, who are not necessarily our blood brothers or our blood sisters or our blood mothers. They're just our compatriots in this earth. And that's the earthy sort of like vein that we see throughout him. He's trying to reach across the divide and brings us together to this common space called poetry. The second strain, though, is the one that I really, really enjoy. It's the playful side of Juan Felipe. And why is this important? He's playful, and in being playful with words and with life, he invites us to this space. He takes down the moats, he takes down the fortresses, and he teaches us in a very unassuming, but very profound sort of way how to read ourselves with each other, how to relate to each other, and how to ultimately say to each other, we are in this together, all of us together. And then these two powerful strains then come together and then make the explosive and inviting poetry that we see in Juan Felipe. In Spanish, we have a term called pícaro. But in Juan Felipe, a pícaro is from picaresque, right? But the pícaro in Juan Felipe merges itself with the poet-philosopher. And that's who he is to me. He's the poet-philosopher who invites us to celebrate cilantro, and to celebrate the kitchen, and to celebrate the table, because that's really where we come together as a family and we celebrate each other for who we are in this world. What does that mean for us at Fresno State? It means that our students share, in part, fully with Juan Felipe, with the Poet Laureate Lab that the Provost made possible. It means that in Fresno State we have an incredible source of wisdom right there, accessible to us. And Fresno State then transcends its boundaries, transcends this moat, transcends this physicality. It goes on to the country, the nation. And that's really where Juan Felipe really just shows us the true colors of what poetry can do. And poetry within the national context, especially nowadays, it's that one single verse that brings us together, verse by verse, like he says. And verse by verse, then we come together and we celebrate each other through Juan Felipe's poetry.
And it's an extraordinary privilege to welcome all of you and to welcome home our dear star faculty member, Juan Felipe Herrera. For me, I find deep personal meaning in our poet laureate's words. To me, Juan Felipe Herrera gives voice to our valley, our students, and I hear the voice of dreams and fears and pride and love. I hear the voice of multicultural celebration. He's truly the people's voice, and I'm so, so privileged to hear his words again today. His images and words are honest, authentic, humbling, and empowering. They shine a spotlight on the life of where we live. The impact of our poet laureate cannot be overstated. He represents the best of our valley and the best of our humanity, and there is no one quite like Juan Felipe. Please welcome Juan Felipe Herrera.
Thank you very much, everybody. You went beyond the call of duty. Thanks for your great words and your big hearts, most of all. And Larry King, I knew that Larry King was a, where's the Larry King? I knew that Larry King, I heard him talk about how he does interviews. And I like Larry King a lot. And I wanted to hear him on that program. He said, well, you know, when I start interviewing my guests, I kind of warm up and kind of ask them easy stuff. And then in the middle, I come in with the heavy-duty stuff. I go, okay. So then I was at the Larry King show, right, interview. I said, okay. I'm going to have my little poem ready for him. I'm going to have a little poem ready for him when he you know, gets going. So I'm going to come in and smile like everybody smiles. But when it comes to that moment, I'm going to be ready. So it was great. He wanted to talk about immigration and the border. And he wanted to get really hot really fast. And, you know, I said, you know, he says, I understand that the Library of Congress doesn't want you to talk about the issues regarding to immigration. That's how he put it, you know. I go, well, Larry, that's very right. You know, if I did, I'd be selling pencils on the corner at this very moment. And then he kind of went with that. And because I didn't really want to get into it right there. Because, you know, I really want to talk about poetry for the people. But eventually he came right back to it. He goes, what's this about illegal aliens, Juan? You know, illegal aliens? Illegal aliens. Juan Herrera. So that's what I did. I did the Fresno wing thing. And I said, Larry, look, let's look at it head on, okay? Let's look at this head on. You know, we come all the way from down south, okay? And without food, a little bit of water, and we cross into Mexico. And then we, without food and without water, then we jump on those trains. People slide off. Not everybody makes it on those trains. And there's women, and there's children, and there's families, and they've been separated, and they're coming over here to maybe make a couple of pesos, send back home to keep their families alive. And then they cross that giant wall, and then they cross those wires, and if they make it, they cross that 120-degree heat Southern California desert. And then they die there, and maybe they'll make it, some of them make it to the coroner's new trailer that houses many dead bodies, and other ones survive. And you know what, Larry? I'm concerned about them, and I don't want people to suffer, Larry. Okay. By the way, Juan, before we close the show, let's see, where was I? I understand you have a poem for us. And, you know, oh no, Larry, I have a poem for you. and that's where, and that's the sketch of that poem right there. He goes, oh, really? He was excited, you know, he was okay. He liked that idea. And it was all about when Marlon Brando came to his show, and he interviewed Marlon Brando, which is another one of my guys. I love Marlon Brando's films in the 50s a lot, those particular films. And they kissed. Remember that? The Marlon Brando Larry King kiss? Was great, you know? Of course. You know, brothers, you know, let's be community. and so I wrote that poem about that moment. And what I'm really saying in that poem is, that's the bliss we want, you know? That's the bliss we want. But it's called Larry King Sees the Vision Through the Television. Because his gift is, he immediately knows the interviewee like that. As you sit down, he already knows you. He's very quick, and he knows who you really are, where you're really coming from. And that's a great gift to have. And I admire that about him. And that's why I say Larry King sees the vision to the television. And we here in Fresno see the art and the heart. Thanks so much, everybody. Check out the
There's an old Roman toast, in vino veritas, but I think we need to rename it in via veritas. On the journey, the truth comes. Thank you, Juan Felipe, for sharing your truth. Cheers. Cheers.